This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability and a generous investment by Julianne Wrigley.
Climate is changing. But then the next question, though, is why, right? Why is climate changing? Because we know that climate has changed in the past due to the sun and natural cycles. So it's helpful to actually know that when somebody says, oh, isn't it just the sun? You can say, well, here's the temperature of the Earth. It's been going up and down from year to year, but decade by decade, it's been going up. But if you compare it with energy from the sun, the energy from the sun's actually been going down. Did you know that? And so people who've been told, oh, it's just the sun, it actually does help to say, hey, I know that it isn't the sun. It can't be the sun. We should be cooling according to the sun now. So if it isn't the sun, what about natural cycles? Well, natural cycles inside the climate system are like a teeter-totter or a seesaw. Now, just out of curiosity, how many people call it a teeter-totter? Okay, seesaw? Okay, it's 50-50. But this side has a bit of a bias towards seesaw, I would say, and this side has a bit of a bias towards teeter-totter. I'm sort of curious. I don't always ask that, but every once in a while I do. And I have to say, there's only one place in all of the US that I have found the majority go with teeter-totter. Utah. That's it. There was almost no seesaws there, and I think they were imports. Anyways, now you're going to remember this, right? So natural cycles are like a teeter-totter or a seesaw. They just move heat around the Earth system. So if the atmosphere is getting warmer, the heat has to be coming from somewhere. Pretty much the ocean. When we look at natural cycles, like the medieval warm period when all the Vikings took cruises to Greenland, that's something many people think really happened. In reality, the naming of Greenland was one of the most successful PR campaigns of the time, because when they got there, it was too late. But during the medieval warm period, there was a warm period, and it was part of a natural cycle. What does a natural cycle look like? A natural cycle looks like moving heat from one part of the climate system to the other. So the medieval warm period, which is so embedded into our history, is only there because much of our history comes from Western Europe. If we came from Siberia, it would have been the medieval cold period. And what does today look like compared to that? Today looks very different. So when we look at the heat content of the Earth system, it isn't just going into the atmosphere from the ocean. In fact, 20 times more heat is going into the ocean compared to the atmosphere. 93% of the extra heat being trapped inside the climate system is going into the ocean. Why are we not talking about that? I only have one answer for that. We're not dolphins. If we were dolphins, we wouldn't be talking about the green part here. We'd just be talking about the blue part. So when we measure global temperature, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Our entire planet is warming from the ocean to the land, to the atmosphere. And then people say, well, but aren't we just warming after the last ice age? Because I know we have ice age cycles. How do I know? I watched the movies. And we know they ended because a squirrel was chasing a nut and broke off a piece of ice, and that just it all cascaded from there. Do you have the squirrel in your models? No, we don't. Well, then they're no good. Yeah. I've actually never had that conversation before. That was just in my head. But when we look at the last 6,000 years, now, as a scientist, why would I show 6,000 years of data? This is not from an ice core record that's 6,000 years old. I'm showing it for a very specific reason. Because to agree that humans are changing climate, to agree that something happened 300 years ago at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, to understand that we were gradually, slowly cooling, that warming after the last ice age peaked about 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, we've been gradually cooling since then until something crazy happened. We don't have to agree the world is any more than 300 years old, and as far as I know, everybody agrees on that. So, the next thing on our calendar was another ice age, that is, until we got a hold of the climate. And now we are heading, here we go. Nope. Yes. Nope. There we go. Now we are heading rapidly in the other direction. So we can tell people that, hey, There's a reason that we know this is real. We really have checked. The Industrial Revolution kicked this whole thing off. Digging up and burning coal and gas and oil is wrapping an extra blanket around the planet that it does not need. And just like you would, if somebody snuck in at night and put an extra blanket around you, just like you would, the planet is heating up because it does not need that extra blanket that we are wrapping around it. But some people may say, well, blanket schmanket is such a tiny amount. Carbon dioxide is 0.04% of the atmosphere. I'm like, well, it's just a tiny amount of white powder I put in your drink. Or, more appropriately, it's such a tiny pill, how is it going to fix you? I mean, everybody knows when you take medicine for it to be effective, it has to be the size of your body, right? No! We know that little things matter. It's the potency that matters. It's not the amount. So we really have checked, and it helps to understand that there's sciencey sounding myths that we are being told all the time. I get these on social media every single day. It's the sun. No, it's not. It's a natural cycle. Nope. It's just getting warmer after the last ice age. No, we really have checked. We know that today, climate is changing because humans are digging up and burning fossil fuels. We are altering the landscape. We are burning down the trees, and we have spread agriculture across the planet. That is the reason why climate is changing today, and in fact, we should be cooling.
This presentation is brought to you by Arizona State University's Julianne Wrigley Global Institute of Sustainability for educational and non-commercial use only.